Hello and welcome to another remote edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. As we all work from home, Quincy Access Television will continue to bring you news and information about the coronavirus pandemic here in Quincy, as well as other programming to inform and entertain you through this crisis. Now, in today's program, we get to chat with Quincy Chamber of Commerce President Tim Cahill about a new rental assistance program for Quincy hospitality workers who've lost their jobs due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But first, we check out the news for you on this windy and rainy Friday. There are now 132 cases of coronavirus here in Quincy. There have been 8 deaths. 32 people have recovered from the virus in the city, and over 100 are being monitored for signs of the virus. One of those Quincy deaths was an MBTA bus driver who worked out of the Southampton Street Garage in Boston. And at least one Quincy police officer and one Quincy firefighter have tested positive for COVID-19. They are recovering. There are almost 9,000 cases of coronavirus in Massachusetts. There are 2 rental assistance programs for Quincy workers who've been laid off due to the coronavirus. The Quincy Chamber of Commerce is offering help for restaurant workers and others in the hospitality industry. And Quincy Community Action Programs is offering a similar program for other Quincy workers who've been let go due to the pandemic. Information about both programs is available on their websites or through the city's website. The money is coming from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which recently set aside $1 million to assist workers with rent. That fund is supported by payments made by developers in Quincy. And Quincy Mayor Thomas Koch has announced the creation of the Quincy Relief Fund to coordinate charitable fundraising efforts aimed at helping people and organizations hardest hit by the coronavirus pandemic. Donations can be made to QuincyReliefFund.com. Checks made out to the Quincy Foundation with Quincy Relief Fund, and the memo line can be mailed to the Quincy Foundation in care of Colonial Federal Savings Bank at 15 Beach Street, Quincy, 02170. And you can visit QuincyReliefFund.com for all the details. Drive-through coronavirus testing sites will be opening up at Mannett Community Health Center on West Squantum Street in North Quincy for Mannett patients, and at Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare offices at the Crown Colony Office Park in West Quincy for everyone. The Mannett site is for their patients to be tested, reducing the possibility of spreading the infection within the clinic. People wishing to be tested at the Harvard Pilgrim site must contact Convenient MD's Virtual Patient Assessment by calling 617-303-6400 to determine if they're eligible. Now, people do not have to be a Harvard Pilgrim member to utilize that service. The Harvard Pilgrim site has also agreed to test Quincy's first responders. Effective immediately, portions of the parking lot at Wollaston Beach in Quincy will be closed in an effort to encourage more people to social distance amid the coronavirus crisis. Governor Baker has issued a special order shutting down several state-managed parking lots at beaches and recreational areas. Here in Quincy, that means the parking lots at Caddy Park, south of Fenno Street, and south of Rice Road will be closed. The beach will remain open for walkers. However, officials are urging people to observe the social distancing guidelines of at least 6 feet of separation. Also closed are the William Caddy Memorial Playground at Quincy Shore Drive and East Elm Street, the Shea Playground on Bunker Hill Lane, and the Shea Memorial Rink on Willard Street. Wampatuck State Park in Hingham, however, will be opening early for the season for people to walk. All the basketball courts in Quincy are closed. Mayor Thomas Koch says the decision to close those courts was made after several close contact games were held there recently, jeopardizing the health and safety of the players and the public. Koch is stressing the importance of keeping at least 6 feet of separation between people to slow the spread of coronavirus, saying it is the only way to defeat the pandemic. Quincy playgrounds are also closed. However, Koch says it would be difficult to close the actual beaches. The state is closing the parking lot at Wollaston Beach beginning at noon today. Quincy parks remain open. At least 50 clients from Father Bill's homeless shelter in Quincy are being moved to the field house at the South Shore YMCA on Coddington Street in an effort to prevent the spread of coronavirus in the city's homeless population. Shelter Director John Yazwinski says the goal is to be able to provide the recommended 6 feet of physical separation between individuals to help keep them safe. The temporary shelter is being staffed by Father Bill's personnel, and Quincy police are also maintaining a presence at the Y while that shelter is open. Mayor Thomas Koch praised South Shore YMCA President Paul Gorman for immediately agreeing to allow the shelter to open while the Y remains closed. Coming up, we will speak remotely with Quincy Chamber of Commerce President Tim Cahill about a new program designed to help pay rent for Quincy's hardest hit workers during this crisis. That's next.
We know that we're asking Americans to do a lot right now. So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible to this virus.
A question I often get asked is, why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
Social distancing is really physical separation of people.
It's what we refer to when we ask people to stay at least 6 feet apart.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants, not going to theaters where there are a lot of people. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others who might actually be infected or infect you.
We all have a role to play in preventing person-to-person spread of this disease, which can be deadly for vulnerable groups. For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
Well, Quincy Chamber of Commerce President Tim Cahill is joining us via teleconference, of course, in this coronavirus age to chat about some help that's being offered for some of the workers here in Quincy who are being impacted by this crisis. Tim, thanks so much for spending some time with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for putting the technology together. I'm a newbie at this, but we'll try to make it work.
Everybody's learning a new skill here real quick
Yes.
when it comes to this communication.
Yes, and just so the listeners or watchers know, this is not my home. This is my office, so I wish my home was this big, but I'm in my office by myself, so I am practicing safe distancing.
Very
Staff
good.
is working from home over the last couple of weeks, so we're good.
And we should say your home is now in the Grant Bank building right in Quincy Center, right?
Correct. I have a beautiful view of a very quiet city right now, so
Yeah,
it's both beautiful and very eerie.
Exactly. Yeah, it is. It's very strange. You're right. How is the business community holding up right now here in Quincy, Tim?
I guess as well as can be expected. It's new territory for a lot of people, and it's different from '08, and it's different from 9/11. It's kind of a combination of those two, but even different from that because we don't know what's next, and because this is a health issue combined with that's creating the economic issue. It's there's no easy answers for people, so they're trying to hold it together, and some are able to. Others have just had to shut down. So it's not. People have suffered in different ways, and they're suffering in different ways, and it's accelerating in different ways because only a small population of people are actually able to work from home and continue to get paid and continue to add value. The vast majority, especially our members, have either had to shut down or are on short, doing takeout instead of full restaurants. And, they need to be there. They're full service businesses. And if you can't be there and you can't have customers come in, then you can't be there. It's a real challenge, and it's not affecting people all the same, but the news is impacting people across the board because, people are concerned about their health, the health of their parents, the health of their kids, their co-workers. There's just a lot of emotions going on with people, and everyone's trying to sort of separate them out and do the best they can.
Yeah. Is there any type of business interruption insurance that businesses had that might be able to help them in this situation?
This is unique. There's nothing, it's not a hurricane. It's not a tornado. It's kind of an act of God maybe, but not even that. So there is to the best of my knowledge, there's no insurance that covers this. The only insurance that will help you survive is a very healthy balance sheet and a lot of cash.
Mm.
And, that's, even though times are good or were good up till now, those things are difficult to come by even in good days, because you're always moving forward and always spending yesterday's money for tomorrow. And now there is no tomorrow. At least tomorrow has been put off, and yesterday's money is gone for a lot of people. So that's why the mayor reached out to us early on in this crisis and said, how can we help those that have been impacted the most at the earliest stage? And those are the restaurant folks, the hospitality folks. And that's what has allowed us to at least help in a small way, which is what we're trying to do with this new program that we're going to talk about. Great.
Yeah, let's talk about it. As we have reported in the past, $1 million from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund here in the city was set aside, and that's the fund that developers pay into to develop here in the city, and specifically to help hospitality workers, restaurant workers, or other workers impacted by this. So what's going to be happening?
So we're about to go live. We'll probably go live tomorrow, if not later tonight, but definitely by tomorrow morning. We'll have a website up where people can apply to get some rental support. So this is geared towards those folks that are living paycheck to paycheck, full-time restaurant or hospitality workers in the field, mostly who have been let go. In fact, unemployment is a criteria here. If you're not working, those are the people that we want to help first. And the idea is to try to help them with their rent. So it's not for homeowners, it's for renters only, because it's from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. That money will go to landlords. So once it's documented and proved that this is your rent and this is your hardship, then we will send the chamber, on behalf of the city and the Affordable Housing Trust, will send checks to cover April's rent, maybe May's rent, maybe half of April's rent, whatever kind of what you need to keep you in your house, your apartment, as we try to get through this. So it solves one problem, because what I see the problem as being two. You need a house and you need food. You need room and board, basically, is what you need. And that's that we're trying to at least help with half of that, so maybe if you're collecting unemployment, which hopefully you are or you will be, it's only a percentage of your check. It's not going to be your full check. You're not going to get any tips. If you're in the restaurant business, sometimes your check is only part of your salary,
right,
and your take-home pay. So we're trying to fill that gap. And the mayor's been great to work with. The city's been great to work with. And we're blessed to be able to help these folks that are really at the front lines of our chamber and at the front lines of the economy in Quincy, because they feed the construction workers, the office workers, the homeowners. I mean, they're kind of there for everybody. Mm-hmm. And we feel that they deserve help, and we're going to help them. And I'm sure there's going to be other programs to help other groups of folks that have been hurt or impacted. And we'll just see how far it goes before we get back up and running.
Okay, so if you can explain how people apply and who exactly is eligible.
So we're going to have, we created a website, so it'll be all online, and you'll be able to access it through the Quincy Chamber website, thequincychamber.com. We'll have a link on there, and the City of Quincy website as well. So you go on the City of Quincy website, they'll have a link on it, and we'll be emailing the information out to the restaurant industry, so they'll have access to it. And we'll be promoting it on social media. I'm sure we'll talk to the Patriot Ledger and the Quincy Sun, so people will get as much, they'll know where to turn. And then it's a pretty simple 2-page application. It's not like dealing with the SBA. We try to keep it simple because we want to help people as quickly as we can, because that's the mayor's, sort of direction to us, is to help people when they need it. If they get rent paid 6 months from now, it's not going to help them right now.
Right.
So it's a very simple application where you'll have to prove your hardship, send us some information. It's all self-explanatory. Then we'll be in the process of vetting, your hardship, how much money we feel we can give you, whether it's full rent or partial rent. We're not sure yet.
Okay.
Depends on the demand. And then we'll send that check as quickly as we can to your landlord so you don't fall behind,
Right.
at least for this month. Because as the mayor pointed out, even if you can cover this month's rent, you got next month to worry about. And if you can't cover, and even if your landlord says, all right, I'll let you go for a month, I'll let you delay, you still owe it. So it's just going to make it harder to catch up in the end. So the more we can help people stay current with their bills, this bill anyways,
Right.
the more likely they can maybe pay some of their other bills, their
Okay.
credit card bill, like I said, their food bill, essentials. If they've got children, they got to take care of them. So, so this is, not the answer, but it's part of the answer. And I think it's going to be extremely helpful to those people who need it the most and live paycheck to paycheck, that don't have a bunch of cash in the bank and can't rely and draw it down. It also helps the landlords, and many in Quincy are small landlords. Most of these workers are living in 2-family houses or 4-family houses. So it's the mom and pop landlord that it will help, as it will help those working on the front lines. So there isn't a cascade of defaults and bankruptcies that are impacted. If people can't pay rent, then guess what? The owners of these properties can't pay their mortgage either.
Right.
And
Right.
it starts to spin down. So this helps. It will help a lot of people in a small way, and sort of get us hopefully to the next month. And that's, for me, that's all I'm trying to do and trying to counsel people is, let's just get through the week, let's get through the month, and we'll worry about the next month when we get there. Because there's nothing we can do right now. If we can't open, we can't open.
Right.
And we got to get through this health crisis before we can open safely and positively, or this will be a summer problem, will be a fall problem, and go beyond. We're trying to be optimistic about it, and I think what this does is allow us to help people and make them feel like, hey, I got this covered, now I focus. Because that's how you solve problems, is solving them a little at a time, or focusing on one, then the next one, and you can't solve them all at the same time. So I really... I'm appreciative of the city, the trust fund, and really the development community. I said this the other day to someone in the media. Quincy's in pretty good shape overall because we have been proactive. We are building, we are growing. All that revenue is going to help us get through this. So for folks who have, sort of been negative or been less than optimistic about the future of the city and what's happening, I think this shows that by being proactive on getting out in front and taking advantage of a good economy and what we have here in Quincy, a lot of this new development is going to help us, maybe not today, but it will help us over the next few months get back on our feet. Because if those businesses aren't here to pay taxes, guess what? Then the backstop of the government goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Because without taxes, government can't do a program like this. And government can't, the SBA programs aren't doable because the federal government has no money to do them.
Yeah. Is this particular program just for Quincy residents, Tim?
No, we're opening up to folks who either live or work in Quincy.
Okay.
So we will obviously look closely at the folks who live in Quincy.
Sure.
But if you work in Quincy as well and you're a renter outside of Quincy, you'll be considered for some help with this program. So
Okay.
it's trying to be as fair as we can. We obviously have to have some limits on who we can give the money to. But there are other programs for that. If you have a mortgage with a bank, you should contact that bank
Yes.
and talk to them about your situation. And I counsel people that the very least is, the worst thing you could do is climb under your covers, cover your head with your pillow, and just hope it goes away, because it's not. Talk to your landlord, talk to your bank, if you're a business, and find out what's available and get on the list, like this program.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be sending out checks tomorrow, but you get on the list as soon as you can, and we'll work through all the applications and start sending out the checks as soon as we can, because there is a limit to how much we have and how much everyone has.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do. Again, peek out from behind the rock and just face the reality that you are and try to fix one or two problems. We're not going to fix them all. No one's going to do that. But if you have less you have to deal with 3 months from now or a month from now, you can then focus on the other piece of it. Hopefully some of these people will be hired back soon.
Right.
And if they're not behind in their rent, then they can put the rest of their life together quicker. And that's really the purpose of what we're calling it is the Hospitality Support Fund, the
Okay.
Quincy Hospitality Support Fund. And that's what the website will be, the Quincy Hospitality Support Fund, or the Hospitality Support Fund. We'll put that information out so people, when the website is live later today or early tomorrow, you'll just be able to click on, find out what the program's about, find out what the eligibility is, and fill out the application.
Okay. Is there an actual cap on the amount that'll be paid to a landlord? Is there a top end?
We have an internal cap, but right now, send us what your rent is, send us what you need, tell us how much you're making.
Mm-hmm.
The caps aren't hard like they are for some government programs,
Okay.
but they, I think we're going to be fair about it. We're going to be as fair as we can. We know who the people are. If we're not sure, we can check with their landlord, because they're going to give us the name of the landlord, obviously, that they're actually living there and this is what their rent is. They have to prove what that is.
Okay.
You can also check with their restaurant.
Yep.
Because really what we want to do is we want to help those people who are full-time or mostly full-time restaurant, not people who have, this is a part-time job and they have a second job and, they're making money or they're laid off at that second job, but they're collecting on that. This is for people who are primarily and wholly employed by the hospitality industry. And again, it's for folks whose checks, whose income comes both from salary and tips.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's generally, and there are no tips right now.
Right.
Everything's salary.
Well, salaried work, I mean, what do hospitality workers make, $3 an hour or something like that for salary?
Some of them do.
Yeah.
And others make minimum wage,
right,
which is still not much.
Yeah,
especially. And if you're only going to get 60% or even 100% of that short-term over unemployment,
yep,
you're going to be hard-pressed. And that's why people live paycheck to paycheck. They're not, they're not spending money wildly. They don't have a lot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they're working hard so they can get ahead. And those are the people. And those people make up a lot of what the Quincy Chamber is. Where we focus on small businesses. We're there to help small businesses. And most of these employees that we'll be helping are employees of small businesses that have unfortunately been let go. Through no fault of the owner, through no fault of the business, but just because the government said you got to shut down.
Right.
I mean, this isn't anyone's fault. It's not the government's fault, but they have mandated to shut down. No business really kind of did it voluntarily. Most of them had to do that. And it's the right thing to do because we have to beat this virus first before we can get back to business.
Yeah, we've heard the mayor and others encourage folks to use takeout where the restaurants are providing takeout. Is that enough to sustain those businesses, do you think, through this?
For a short term,
yeah.
For a short term, a lot of folks, it's a guessing game.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of the restaurant folks. I mean, there's nothing they can gauge this on. How many people are going to come? I've heard that it's better on the weekends.
Okay.
People tend to eat at home, and that's what the restaurant business, usually better on the weekends. But usually in the business, you have a history to go back to what you did in the first week of April of 2019, what you did in the first, during Easter. You can figure that out and kind of order and sort of plan and be close to what what you can expect. This is you don't know. You don't know what it's going to be. So restaurants are ordering what they can for a short period of time and just kind of figuring it out. But if it doesn't cover the cost of the food cost and the cost of hiring people, then they're not going to do it. So I think there's quite a few of them that have tried it and have decided that it's not really helping them. In fact, it's probably putting them a little bit farther behind.
Oh, interesting.
So, I think it's not a long-term solution. It may be just a short-term solution. And for some businesses that tried it, they've already shut down.
Oh, really?
So it's a mixed bag. If you're in the business of usually doing takeout and delivery, pizza, sub shops, certain restaurants, then you can do well in this. But if you're in a sit-down restaurant and most of your business is sit-down, it's kind of hard to transition, and not everyone will transition, and not every customer will, let alone the restaurant. So like everything, we can only do what our customers want us to do. I think people have been really generous, patrons and customers right now. But as everything tightens over the next few weeks, and months, it's going to be harder for people to justify taking out when I can make dinner cheaper,
Sure.
you know? And then there's the safety issue. People are afraid right now to
Yeah.
touch people and to touch things and to be in contact. And, you know, I've talked to some restaurants who have done well and they're afraid because they're doing well and there's a lot of people coming to their stores, so they're concerned about their employees. It's not what there's no real simple answer to deal with this thing except from a health perspective. And even that's not simple, but that's got to be the priority, is get people healthy and get people treated and tested.
Yeah.
So we can get back to work.
Yeah. Well, is this rental assistance, will this be for, say, hotel, motel workers also, or is it primarily restaurant workers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. For people, again, probably minimum wage people that are working in some of the restaurants that are attached to hotels,
Right.
or working, in the cleaning crew or the maids. Yes, those people should definitely apply as well.
Okay.
Because again, it's for, we have to sort of limit it in some ways. And it was tough for the mayor and for myself to kind of say, all right, who does this cover and who doesn't it cover?
Right. Yeah.
And this is just the first step. And if it's oversubscribed and we have a lot more people, then we'll go back to the mayor and see if there's more money.
Okay.
And if there is, I'm sure he'll give it to us. And if there isn't, he won't, or if he's going to have to give it to somebody else. I mean, that's sort of a day-to-day decision-making process that he's going through and his team is going through.
Okay.
So we'll just deal with this, like I said, this one issue, this one sort of industry, and then we'll move from there. I mean, we're here to try to help everyone. And again, for folks that have called me or people that I've called and counseled and talked to, I said, just call your bank, get on the list, get information as to what you qualify for and what you don't qualify for, and then figure out what you're going to need to get through these next few months. The chamber itself is going to have to do that because, we rely on events and we rely on dues.
Right.
And we can't have any events, and we're not at the top of anyone's list for paying dues right now. So the reality is we're going to be sitting, trying to keep the lights on and keep my staff paid so that we can help other businesses.
Yep.
And we'll be borrowing money as well because, we're going to do what we need to do to survive and be here. And the more information I get on the ease or the difficulty of doing that, the more I'll pass it on. So we've been trying to be helpful, getting the word out on what's available in who's working and who's not, and just trying to keep people's morale up and answer questions that are relevant to them. I know from my experience in being in the restaurant business way back, that it's hard enough just to get through the day and then come home and figure out, how do I apply for this grant? How do I get all my paperwork together, this loan, this grant? It's not easy. Technology can make it a little bit easier though. So our application will be fully online, access again through the city website or our website. If someone needs a printed out copy, we can probably get it to them, but we're focused on trying to make it simple and easy for those people in the industry so that we get them the checks as quickly as we can.
Okay. Is there a deadline, Tim, for them to apply?
No. We'll again, I would say check our website at thequincychamber.com tomorrow morning, City Quincy website. You'll see something that you'll see an icon or a link that will put you on to our hospitality support fund. Okay. And it will get the message out as well. And we'll use the restaurant industry to get that message out so they can get it out to their former employees or their laid off employees so that we can try to help those that are trying to be helped. Again, I wish it was more. I wish it was more encompassing like the mayor does as well. Yeah. But this is a good first step. And we'll keep working on it as long as this crisis lasts.
I understand Quincy Community Action Programs is having a separate program also.
Yeah, they're going to try to, and I don't know details on that, but there will be information on our website, the new website that we've created, to also link and phone numbers to Quincy Community Action. So if you're not in the hospitality industry, but you have housing challenges and security, they can cover you through a different program or part of this program. Okay. So, and And I think it's important, and we'll list those on our website, quincychamber.com, as well as the city has those for folks that need help. And they'll be able to call us as well on our phone. So we're listing our phone number, our website, and we want to be as helpful and make this as painless as it can be. If it hurts more to ask for money and to actually get it than it does to be without it, people are going to be without it. So we want to try to find out that middle ground where it's easy enough, but we still have enough checks and balances so the money's going to people who need it the most.
Sure. The fund itself, can folks donate to that if they'd like to, Tim, to make sure it goes to the particular program, or do you know?
It's a good question. We don't have a donate section, but we can put one together. If people want to donate money to this fund,
Right.
They can contact me and contact us at quincychamber.com. And we would guarantee that if we do get donations for hospitality workers, we'll add it to this fund and make sure it goes on under the same guidelines that this one does. So if people do want to donate to the quincychamber.com for the hospitality support fund,
Right.
by all means do that, and I guarantee you the money will go in.
Okay.
And we'll recognize and obviously acknowledge who gives it to us, so we'll keep track of it all.
Great. Okay, very good. And I know you're reaching out on your social media also for this program.
Yeah, we're on Facebook, and we'll be putting out an email shortly with the information, and we'll be posting that to all of our lists. And as I said, we'll post it on social media, and we'll also be getting it out to as many of the restaurant owners as we can so that they can get it out to their staff and employees.
Okay. Is it going to be just a one-time payment, or do you know that yet right now?
Don't know the answer to that yet.
Okay.
We'll deal with, if people have challenges for April, it'll be for April.
Okay.
April's payment. If there's any money left and we still have, the ability, we'll look at May when we get closer to that. I just don't know the answer. I don't know how much people are going to be asking for,
Right.
how many people will be asking. So we'll just have to play it by ear. We'd like to be this problem is going to last through April and into May. We know that.
Right.
Because at the very earliest, we're not going to be open again until May 4th.
Right.
Here in the city of Quincy and to the state of Massachusetts. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I hope that we can put something together and continue to help people. We'll get through this. We always have, we always will. And this is part of why we do, because people are generous. Developers pay into this fund. The trust has been generous in allowing us to use it for this. The mayor's office has been very aggressive to get this out. And we're going to work as hard as we can to make sure it gets to the right people. And that's how we'll get through this.
Yeah.
It's not going to be one fell swoop with one program that's going to solve everyone's problem.
Right.
It's going to be a bunch of small individual with government, the private sector working together in small incremental ways. That's how the economy is built up, and that's how we'll rebuild the economy to keep people on their feet. And even if you feel like there's no hope, there is always hope. There are companies out there looking for help. Supermarkets are looking for help.
True.
Walmart is looking for help. Amazon. So there are companies ramping up as certain companies go down, and I encourage people to look into those short term. Because not only are there opportunities for them personally, but they'll be helping solve the problem, because these people are trying to get food on the shelves. They're trying to, get food delivered to people.
Yep.
And those things are what people need, especially if we become totally locked in. If we become quarantined, you have no choice but to rely on the goodness of people, strangers, basically, to deliver, not only shop for you, but deliver that.
Right.
And it's a big industry right now.
Yeah.
So I would encourage people, if there are opportunities to get work, even if you're collecting right now, it might be better off for you to go to work and then come back to the restaurant business. Because I hope and pray that all these food establishments are going to be able to start up again.
Yeah.
But they're going to need people to do it. And that's where the folks come in. They can then repay the generosity of us helping them by paying it somewhere else, or by helping the industry get back on its feet.
Sure. What are you hearing from the development community here in Quincy, Tim, and their concerns right now?
Well, fortunately, at least I believe fortunately, they're still construction is still ongoing on projects that have started, that are up. They're not stopping, at least that they haven't been made to in Quincy. Some
Right.
parts of the state they have.
Yeah.
So that's good. I think, right now, if you are, if you've got a development, if you've built something and it's fully housed, how long that will last, we don't know.
Right.
And if you're building something, you want to they want to finish it, and they're on schedule to finish it. The city's catching up on a lot of projects that it normally can't do because
Right.
we either recovering from a snowstorm or there's too much traffic on the road to fix potholes. I mean, it's prime time to be doing some of that. I know the DPW department under Al Grazioso is doing that. So people who are financially secure, the ones that I'm in touch with, are being very generous by either keeping employees working, supporting food banks, supporting programs like this. And this program comes from commitment of developers.
Right.
We wouldn't have a housing trust fund if it wasn't for the development going on here. So again, that's something to say that's a positive outcome. Most communities don't have this kind of a fund that can help. And it helped in the past when we had natural disasters, like a couple of years ago with the coastal problems. I mean, QCAP, and it was the Affordable Housing Trust Fund that helped a lot of those people survive that while they were out of their houses. So good comes from bad all the time. And sometimes you see a challenge out there or something changing that you're not crazy about, like a 10-story building go up in your neighborhood or in the square, and say, geez, what's going on with the city of Quincy? But that 10-story housing complex has contributed to this fund and will contribute to housing and the economic growth and revitalization when we start building again.
So, but the immediate message right now to hospitality workers is apply for this fund.
Yeah, help is on the way.
Yeah.
We'll do everything we can to make it work for people, to get the money as soon as possible so they don't fall behind. And as I said earlier, Joe, to fix one piece of the challenge, which is housing. There's other pieces, and I obviously encourage people, to be careful with their money.
Right.
Don't spend it frivolously just because there's a sale on, because people are trying to get rid of stuff.
Yeah.
Money right now, cash, it always is king, but cash is especially king now. If you have a little bit of money, hold on to it.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if you're going to need it a few months from now. You don't know if you're going to need it tomorrow. So spend it wisely and try to solve what problems you can in front of you, as opposed to trying to figure out how you're going to survive 6 months from now. That's the biggest danger out there, is looking too far into an unknown future, and that creates other health concerns that we all don't want to see happen because of this. You may be healthy and not have the virus, but be unhealthy in other ways, or become unhealthy because you've lost hope. There's plenty of reason to hope, especially here in the city of Quincy.
All right. Really appreciate your time. Tim, anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you, Joe. I'd love to continue to chat as we go forward and give you some updates on this. Again,
Great.
the program will definitely be live tomorrow morning. So when you wake up in the morning, check on our website, check on the city's website, check your email, check with your bosses or your former bosses, and they'll direct you to our program, and the phones will start ringing, the emails will start coming in, but we'll work 24 hours a day to get it out if we have to.
Okay. Well, we're happy to help get the word out for you as well, and definitely reach out again if we can help at all. We're happy to do it.
We will, and I hope this worked. This technology is not my strong suit, so hopefully it worked, and I won't judge how I looked during this thing, and I'm just, as long as I'm alive and breathing, that's good.
I think everybody's getting used to this new normal way of communicating, so it worked just fine. Really appreciate it.
I'll get some lighting and some filters, as they call them, on social media to make myself look a little bit more presentable next time. Okay?
Great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome. Yep. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Special thanks to Tim Cahill for joining us today. Thank you to our crew working remotely from home, and thank you for watching. Monday on Currently in Quincy, we speak with Beth Ann Strollo of Quincy Community Action Programs about another rental assistance program for Quincy workers. Until then, please stay tuned to Quincy Access Television channels 8 and 9 and our website, qatv.org, and our social media for the very latest community information as we all get through this crisis apart but not alone.